Well, at least your editing's improved this time round.
Feminism is a dirty word. It's a toxic subject.
Well, seems like you may have learned a few lessons from the last time we encountered Mr. Acheson. I do hope that when you call it toxic, you mean it. I mean, I'm not so sure where you're going to go, but yes, it is. It is toxic when people who disagree are labelled as misogynists, bigots, they're not for equality, you know, as if for some reason feminists have a monopoly over the subject of equality and women's rights, when that is not the case. Okay, Acheson, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt as usual. Hit me!
True or not, there's a lot of feminist bashing going on these days, and I don't just mean from men. Go on Twitter and look at Women Against Feminism. That's right, women against feminism.
You say that as if it's a new thing and not quite believable. There's always been women that have never liked feminism. As far back as 40 years ago, hell, even 50 years ago. Erin Pitsey is one of them. Well, she was never really a feminist to begin with. She was part of the women's movement, which is actually a very different kind of pre-feminist organisation. They've kind of not really the same anymore. They've kind of evolved into what we now see as feminism, with all its different strands and beliefs. I mean, although Palia herself is a feminist, she's not exactly one to always praise it and never criticise it. She has a lot to say about the Steinem wing of feminism that you seem to particularly favour over a lot of others. So, don't forget, we can go even further back. I don't want to, go through the past too much, but Queen Victoria, she didn't like the fact that women were getting the vote for whatever reason. I've kind of forgotten. Victorian era is not really my strong point. I'm more into the colonial aspects of that. Yeah, no, Mitch, you're supposed to be a history graduate. Yeah, I can't know everything. All I know is that she wasn't a suffragette, a suffragist, a part of the women's movement, or a feminist, even though it didn't exist back in those days. So yeah, you can go as far back as that, and women have never exactly been feminists always, never always been pro-feminist. They've always either been neutral or anti. It's the same number of women hate feminism as men do, I imagine. It's always 50-50.
Is a thing?
Oh yes, Ben, it is a big thing.
Even the mainstream press often caricature feminism as vitriolic or autocratic, or they say it's dying.
Mainstream media is controlled by the feminists and of the extreme progressive left. They don't say these things. It's more the unmainstream media, the more independent media that says these things, and people like me on the internet say it's dying and it's vitriolic, and we say that for a reason, because it is. I mean, how many times have you seen a feminist say #KillAllMen, mansplaining, manspreading, all those other complaints about first world problems? And how many times have you seen people get harassed, like Tim Hunt, over silly things that they say in speeches because people don't agree with them, or people don't like them saying certain things? Is that not enough, Ben? It doesn't seem like you've learnt an awful lot. Maybe you're trying to defend them, or maybe you're just trying to come across as neutral now. I don't know. But I'm not pleased. I am worried for you, Ben. Come on, my Northern Irish friend. See the light.
A recent Guardian article suggested that feminists have shifted from attacking inequality to vilifying individuals.
As your Guardian article rightly pointed out, yes it did. They attacked the good doctor for exactly that, because of himself, because of what he wore, a shirt that had sexy women with guns, and that was made by a woman, by the way. Yet they didn't praise him for his amazing work, his groundbreaking work in getting a probe on a comet. No, they called him sexist and misogynist and vilified him for the shirt he wore. They criticised him for his fashion choice. How is that feminism? How is that fighting for gender equality, Ben? You're getting here. You're getting somewhere. Come on. Hit me again.
And there are statistics too. 77% of men and 57%, a majority of women, say that they're definitely not feminists.
No need to air quote the honest answers of men and women in Britain. I told you most people don't consider themselves feminists. It's the vocal minority that are ruling the roost, I'm afraid. But that's funny because that's exactly what feminists are fighting against, aren't they? That minority that controls everything. Do you know the term projection?
Only 27% of women and 10% of men openly identify with feminism. This is despite the fact that 81% of the entire population advocate equal rights.
As I established with you earlier on in the last video, feminists don't stand for equal rights. Otherwise they will be working with MRAs to combat all issues that humans face in the world today. Why would they be advocating such measures as to not rebrand, that's the wrong word, more to change the definition of rape to be more inclusive of things like drunken sex, and hell, even someone, you could even ask someone and you'd be raping them. Now, some of these people, I'm probably exaggerating there, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but the fact that any drunken sex can now be considered rape, withdrawing consent, that's what they call it. How is that fighting for anyone's rights? Oh, don't forget, speaking of that, removing due process from the courts in regards to men, so now we're always guilty instead of innocent. At least in terms of innocent till proven guilty, now we're guilty until proven innocent, which is not how the law works, or at least should not work. I mean, I could go on, the witch hunts, the public shaming, the endorsement of people like Mattress Girl rather than people like Cytherea, the porn star who was actually raped, gang raped in fact, in front of her children and was robbed at the same time. I don't know how that story was ignored and Mattress Girl was gleamed all over the front pages, but maybe that's because Cytherea is a porn star and the current lot of feminists hate porn stars.
So, does feminism really carry that much baggage?
Well, let's see what you have to say. I'm going to let you work it out for yourself. I don't have to tell you. I've been trying to tell you. I still have faith in you, Acheson. You can be saved.
Is it a toxic word? No. Clearly, there's some confusion. It's misunderstood. It's not something that we should be scared of.
Ben. Just when I thought we were getting some mutual understanding that you were seeing the error of your ways, you just ruined everything. The whole catharsis has been lost and replaced by more hubris. We have everything to be scared of feminism, even though personally I'm not the one to be afraid of it. Some people genuinely are afraid, like, the fact that you can, as I mentioned before, guilty until proven innocent, witch hunts. Your freedom of speech is limited because these people will come after you as soon as you say the wrong thing. Oh, let's not mention that if you're a comedian that specialises in gender jokes that aren't exactly politically correct, like Dapper Laughs, you could lose your career just by saying the wrong thing. Or mainly because people don't like your jokes. The fact that these people don't like your jokes means you've got to go. You have no career. Your life is finished. That is quite a worrying thing. And I think people have a right to be scared if things like that are happening. The fact that I can no longer sit the natural way that men sit. Somehow that is against women, Maybe I find it comfy. But apparently now I'm just spreading my dominance. Like, yeah, woman, check it. Yeah, I own you. When apparently that's what I'm doing. When really all I'm doing is just sitting. Just like, I don't want to talk to people usually on public transport. So, I mean, God damn it, Ben. God damn it.
We shouldn't shy away from or be embarrassed by feminism.
Look, most people aren't embarrassed to call themselves feminists. They're the ones who are happily going on Twitter and Tumblr talk about how good they are, how fantastic they are at fighting for other people's rights. People who might not necessarily need their help. People who might be okay. You know, maybe they're like, you know what, I don't actually feel oppressed. I might just, you know, want to live my life the way I see fit. Like, shut up, you're being oppressed. You know, nobody likes those people. If anything, we're kind of embarrassed by it because they're just so stupid. I mean, mansplaining, man blocking. What was it when that woman threw herself against men? What was it? Man falling into something? I forgot. Things like that. And then we have fake surveys. Oh, well, it is a proper survey, but very, very, very biased and shouldn't be official. Trying to push forward the agenda, saying that young boys, like 80% of them, agree that women are over-sexualised, when we all know that's not the case. These were feminists answering a feminist propaganda survey, so obviously we know what they're going to say, don't we? These will be mostly women, not boys. Speaking of boys, you know, I mean, no, we'll leave it at that.
It's not some subversive cult designed to enslave all men to female rulers.
I think you'll find it meets the definition of a cult almost to a T. I mean, just look it up. There is an actual definition of a cult. Like, it goes through all the things, you know, like leader or leaders. You know, if someone moves away from the cult, they are shamed, they are attacked. You know, I could go on. It's almost like the psychopath test. I reckon a few of those people would actually pass it from the social justice crowd. So the lack of empathy that they have and their utter glee when someone's life, usually a man, is ruined. Now, you know, do I think they want to rule the world? Not necessarily. I mean, actually they do. They want to overthrow patriarchy and replace it with a matriarchy. So yes, they do actually want to rule the world. I mean, technically they kind of already do to an extent. But then again, it's mostly men that are in leadership roles currently, and that's usually by choice, not through some mythical patriarchy. Yet you're saying they don't want to change the way the ruling class looks, let alone is. I mean, you do realise that these people want like all jobs to be 50% this, 50% that, when equal representation would be, you know, say England is like, I'd say 90% white, isn't it? So you'd have 2% mixed race people, 1 point something percent Asian, 1 point something percent black or something, right? I could be wrong. I don't know what the actual statistics are. I'm just, you know, guesstimating, making words up, because unlike you, I will not say that is a fact. I'm just saying this is hypothetical. So that would be equal representation, not 50% this, 50% that. I mean, true, 50% of the world are men, 50% of the world are women. But sadly, when it comes to career choices, it's not like that. That doesn't mean that companies are misogynist or sexist. They don't want to pick women. There's affirmative action, there's constant quotas that have to be enforced, yet women just don't want to do some of these jobs, and men don't want to do these jobs. Like, it's called a Norwegian gender paradox, isn't it? Men don't necessarily want to be nurses. Women don't want to be engineers. A few do, and they become engineers. But most people just drop out because they either don't want to do the job or they find it's just not to their taste, which I guess is the same thing. But, you know, I mean, we can't force people to do these things. But anyway, back to your point. They kind of do want to control the world to an extent. They probably already do. And they are pretty much a cult. Almost religious. I mean, there's a reason why me and Glebs call them faitheists.
And no, it's not some movement of angry, bra-burning, man-hitting lesbians who are just mad because they can't find a husband.
I've not heard anyone say that about them. We agree that they're angry and they hate men, and yes, to a certain extent, the straight girls certainly are jealous of the more beautiful girls and the less insane, crazy, less mean-spirited girls of having boyfriends and husbands, of being jealous. But the lesbians, surely they would be jealous of the non-feminist lesbian girls of not having a lovely wife or a girlfriend. Don't strawman us. Look, why the hell would a lesbian be jealous of not having a husband? Doesn't make much sense, Acheson. Jesus Christ, you just jumped the shark. Again. But I think you jumped 2 sharks instead of 1. Well done. More bang for your buck.
Feminism is equalism.
We've gone through this, Acheson. We've gone through this. Come on. Repeat after me. Feminism does not necessarily equal equalism. They do not have the monopoly on equality. Egalitarianism is more suiting of those 3 words than feminism. Because feminism only cares about women's rights. That's why it's called feminism. And no, don't give me the fucking dictionary definition, because feminists do not follow it at all. At least a few of them do, you know, like Christina Hoff Sommers, Palia, etc., you know. But who else? I can't think of anyone.
It's about levelling the playing field, not about giving anyone an unfair advantage.
It has though, hasn't it? Women have less prison sentences than men. They get more alimony than men. In fact, the men has to most occasions, I should say, they have to pay it all the time, no matter the circumstances. They have rights over their entire body, including reproduction. They have their own birth control pill, though thankfully for men that's changing. That means that's just one step towards equality for us. They have loads of help hotlines to help them in regards to anything from cancer to domestic violence. Men, as far as I know, in Britain we have one helpline which, as I mentioned before, was used mainly to show to not just for victims but for perpetrators. You know, you would never see a anti-domestic violence advert with a woman being the perpetrator. You would not see someone asking them in an advert to hand themselves in to stop. You just wouldn't. It's always male on female or male on male. Never female on male and female on female, although I may be repeating myself, but I have to drum it into your head. Sometimes repetition works. So, I could go on. But I think I could add one more thing. Speaking of cancer, breast cancer gets far more money put into it than colon or testicular cancer. Bear in mind, men can also get breast cancer, but they don't seem to try and scan more men. They don't seem to, apart from Movember and other things like what Bill Bailey did. I forgot what it was called. You know, there's very few things that are used to help men who may be at risk of these cancers. There's not enough money being put into it. Surely, if feminism was for equality, or it is equalism, as you say, which is stupid, because it's definitely not. Surely men would have as much money being pumped into fighting for their causes, for their rights, by these feminist powers that be. You know, surely they would see that and think, oh yeah, we've got to help these people, considering we try and help people who are victims of racism and transphobia, etc. But no, because most of the people that these Western feminists meet every day are white, straight and cis, apparently, you know, their problems should be just set aside for everyone else's. But forgetting that it also impacts black men, mixed race men like me, and others. I could go on. I really could. I should really stop this point now, and I will. Shame on you, Ben.
Anyone, everyone can be a feminist.
Oh sure, but how come men, specifically white men, are called allies if everyone can be a feminist? Right. Yeah, everyone can be a feminist, but you're not a feminist, you're actually an ally. God damn it, Ben, you're as clueless as ever.
It's not a lifestyle or a ready-made identity.
Have you really seen what they're like on Twitter and at their conventions? It pretty much is an identity and a religion and a cult in and of itself.
There's no starter kit, uniform or membership card.
They all look the same. Well, at least most of them look the same, I should say. Dyed hair, you know, stupid dyed hair, silly clothes. I don't know what silly clothes are, but you know, you'll spot a feminist clothes when you see it. Certain writing style. Look, you could just see it. You don't need an identity card to spot a feminist. They're everywhere. Just look at Tumblr. They all look exactly the same. They do. That woman that you just showed is a perfect example. She may not have the dyed hair, but she's got the whole look. You just know. I know this is sounding silly, but they do have a look. You can spot one, especially on the internet.
And most importantly, it can be just as much a male issue as it is a female one.
No, Ben. No, it's not. Feminism is not a men's issue. Men's rights is a men's issue. Feminism? No. If it was a men's issue, why are there no feminists helping men right now? How come, as Bain6666 said, when a man tried to make a men's rights group at his university in Durham, the university said no. Actually, funnily enough, even though the university are kind of influenced by that feminism, the feminists said, yeah, you could totally do it, but it has to be part of the feminist group. So, we can't have our own groups and spaces unless it's part of the women's space. Yeah, they want to stay away from us. They want their own spaces. How does that make sense? We can't have our own because, whoa, we got to keep you on a leash, but feminism is not a men's issue, okay? If it was, we'd be seeing a hell of a lot more feminists being a lot more open and honest and actually helping men, but they don't. There's very few. Only Palia and Christina Hoff Sommers actually do anything about men's issues.
And not because we have wives, mothers and daughters, but because men are victims of sexual violence and domestic violence too.
And look what I've already told you about this. I seem to have to repeat myself in order for it to get it into your thick skull. Look, they don't care. If they cared, we'd be seeing a lot more campaigns about men's issues from feminists, from everyone. But we don't. We don't. Societal attitudes, worsened by feminism, don't care about men's suicide or abuse. They don't care. Like I showed you. I'm not going to repeat myself, I've already said it.
And these are issues that feminists try to address.
Don't repeat my examples. I want actual feminists, big ones like Anita Sarkeesian, like all the others. I want you to tell me and show me work of feminists highlighting men's issues, because I think you'll find it's close to pretty much zilch of that wing of feminism. It's only Christina Hoff Sommers, and I'm sorry for calling her Palia because I forgot her first name. Can anyone in the comments please give me her name? I am trying to work as fast as I can. I've got a limited amount of time because I'm doing it at night yet again. So that's an aside. Show me, Ben. You show nobody, no evidence.
So tell me, what's toxic about that?
Everything. Absolutely everything. So there we have it, people. Ben Acheson still knows nothing about feminism. I hoped that he would come to some kind of conclusion that, oh yeah, it is kind of toxic. But, you know, as the good white knight brainwashed man that he is, I'm afraid he just couldn't come to the logical conclusion that the rest of us have come to. That 77% of men, or at least, and 57% of women, they all came to the same conclusion that feminism is toxic, therefore they are not feminists, although that could well be straw-manning them. Maybe a few of them think it's toxic, maybe a few just aren't. They're just neutral, they don't care. I shouldn't say that. But you know what I mean. They've come to the same conclusion as we are, through different means, that we're not feminists because X, Y and Z. Acheson kind of just proved the opposite of his own argument. And it is toxic, just by the dumb shit that he said. But you know what? I'm not going to waste my breath. I'm probably not going to do any of his videos for a while. This has been CharmingMan93. Like and share the video, drop a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later.